And we should be live.
Awesome.
Hi everyone. We've got Franky the Crafter today with us. How awesome is that?
Oh,
So,
um,
yeah, go on, please.
oh no. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that it's a blast to have you here because I've been a fan of your channel for a very long time. And yeah,
Thank you.
thank you so much for
We gotta
joining us.
thank we gotta thank Meredith because she's the one that I get super nervous with doing like just kind of like streams with anybody in general. So she kind of convinced me to come along here from scattered terrain.
Yeah, she was the one who suggested the live stream, and yep, I should definitely talk to Frankie. And here we are. So,
Yeah,
thanks, Meredith. That's
right.
Scatter Train in the chat. So, how about we say hello to everyone here and you can start to tell us a bit about yourself. Okay?
All right.
So, we've got hello, Charlene. Hello, Earthman Brick, who's the first in the chat. Yeah, you've been up early today. Scatter Terrain, thank you again for helping set this up. Mia Gigged, Reina, new person, I think, so hi. Dungeon Matron, hi Lisa. Campaign Terrain, hello Cross. Questboard Terrain, hi Kim. Sean, and yeah, we've got quite a crowd for you today.
Nice.
So,
All right. You want me to start off or?
yeah, kick it off.
All right. I'm Frankie from Frankie the Crafter, and obviously, I'm assuming all your guests make terrain or something like that. So we're all involved in the hobby in some way. I've been making terrain for I want to say at least more than 5 years, if not more. I just don't really keep track of it. I used to do a lot of like 2D art, but um, once I got thrown into like the D&D world, it just kind of moved into 3D work, and then I just that's what I like doing now more than anything. I have a Mexican background, and I was actually born in Mexico, so a lot of my work is either very colorful because of my culture or is in some way related to the native like lifestyle from where I come from. And yeah,
Yeah, in fact, I think that's one of the things you're known for is those bright, bold colors in your crafts.
yeah, I didn't know it was I didn't know it was like a thing that set me apart until a lot of people started mentioning it.
Yeah,
And
definitely is.
they were like very happy. It's like, oh, something aside grays, blacks, and browns. Seeing some color was really nice. So it always felt good. It's always a good compliment.
Okay, Reina saying, and excuse my pronunciation, but saludos a Frankie. Hace muy bien trabajo y es muy inspirador.
Muchas gracias. I love it.
So,
My friends keep actually asking me if I should make a video in Spanish. I'm like, nobody's gonna understand it.
you should,
Most
yeah.
of my audience already speaks English, so it'd be really hard to do that and pull it off.
Uh, I think sometimes, I would like to make some videos in Italian,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, making videos in Maltese makes no sense because that's maybe five people who watch my videos can speak the same language. So it's
Right. Alienating most of your audience, right?
yeah, but yeah, in Italian that would be fun, especially because I've got a bunch of Italian friends and like Max and Stefano from Chimera War Gaming.
Hmm.
But yeah, one thing that I was looking at recently was doing multiple audio channels. So that might be an option for you as well,
Yeah.
because that seems to be an option now. So yeah, but as I was asking before the stream, what is that was something behind you, that face-looking thing?
Oh yeah, the floating island. Um, I was working with a gallery space last year and the year before that one too. And for my artwork, well, a lot of the people that were part of the event, the gallery, had a lot of 2D work, so they could just hang it up on walls and everything. For me, I had an issue because most of my stuff is 3D, and we're trying to figure out like a proper way to display my work. And if I asked them if I could build my own shelf, and then a week later I show up with this. I think they thought it was gonna be like an actual shelf, and it's meant to have like it's magnetized, like the top is magnetized. So anything that has magnet or metal, I just stick up there. It's not gonna be like moving around or anything. It's been around a lot, and I was actually gonna throw it away after I was done with the gallery because I figure I had no space to store it, but
How could
I
you?
just
Like,
decided how could I throw it away?
yeah, I mean that's way too awesome to throw away, man.
Space, space. I'm like crafting my way out of this studio. I'm trying to find like places to sneak like my crabs into. There's like squirrel holes out there and out in my yard. I snuck like my toys in there or whatever, like anything. I'm trying to find like space everywhere. But I decided to just I ended up just using it as a backdrop for my videos when I finally end up making videos again.
Yeah, we were talking about that before the stream, so we'll come back to that in a little bit. But since you just mentioned the gallery space, could you tell us what it was like working there and what you were doing apart from crafting in there?
So the main reason why I was working with the gallery space was because one of the perks was to help underprivileged students from around the area here actually take free classes that would normally cost you it would be very expensive to take the classes that you were taking at this art space anywhere else, and we were providing that to the public for free. And my class basically was just like a creative outlet kind of class where I didn't concentrate 100% on like physical art. A lot of it was also and I used it all, like I used D&D to all to kind of like push my class forward. So we were doing like character creation, like crafting things, and then eventually we got to like the third class or something like that, where if people wanted to actually start playing in the game with the pieces that they've made, they could. And um, everybody wanted to play at the end. Then you had like shy kids that were like, yeah, they're like, no, I don't wanna, I'm really shy. And then they get one session in there and they're crazy, like yelling, like they're acting like their character and everything. That was a lot of fun. That was a
Yeah, it
lot of fun.
sounds
They
like them.
provided other services,
Mhm.
but for me, like the main thing was I wanted to help like provide a space that I wish I had when I was growing up. So
Yeah, it does sound
and
awesome.
they kind
Sound
of did
awesome, yeah.
that, so it was nice. Yeah,
So,
it was really cool actually, and I
so
got to play D&D,
yeah, that's always
regularly.
always a massive plus.
Right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we're teaching them like drawing or physical crafting or putting things together.
Yeah, yeah.
What kind
So,
of things did you go into?
some kids made like terrain pieces.
Mhm.
Other kids drew their characters. I had this really cool student that actually ended up drawing like an encyclopedia of like mushrooms that could be used in the game, and they had like special abilities for each mushroom and everything.
Oh, wow,
So she
okay.
was kind of like the herbalist, but and this is one of the students that didn't want to play at first, and
At first.
she was like, yeah, she was like the merchant. It was really cool seeing like the evolution of like, no, I don't want to play this game. I just want to like contribute to it with my drawings. And then by the end of it, they're probably like one of the most active players in the group.
You know, it's always the quiet ones.
It is. It is. It is. It
Okay,
is.
saludos, David Rodriguez, who's joining us from Ciudad de Mexico. He says
Oh
hello,
wow.
Frankie.
Hola.
Okay, and Dungeon Matron is asking, is that a boat hanging from your ceiling?
Oh, here is what he's talking about.
I
There's no boat hanging from my ceiling, but that is a water mat that I used, and I literally have no other place to hang it, so I nailed it to the ceiling.
Yeah, every corner you can find is handy.
It's terrible. I'm not gonna do it again, but I showed you the floor. It's a mess in here.
Okay, let's see. Campaigner is also saying that's a good point. I've had at least two players I know who got into TTRPG because they found the 3D terrain so appealing.
I
Yeah,
think that's gotta be my favorite part of the hobby, to be honest with you. I don't think I would be as much into D&D as if it wasn't for like the actual terrain building stuff, which is like such a big part for me.
yeah, I get you. It's always such a how do you say it? It's awesome to sit on the table, but for me, for example, it's about making things with my hands
Yeah,
because that's such a really important thing for me.
right.
So let's see.
For me, I feel like for me, at least a part of it also has to do with when I'm actually playing. I guess like growing up, I always wanted to make video games. And I always had a feeling I wasn't gonna be able to do that anyways. But this is like my outlet of like I wasn't able to make video games, but at least I can make this. So when I'm playing and I see like my players' reactions to certain things in the game, or when I pull something up and they're like, blown away, that it just I get the satisfaction I need out of that from that, I guess.
Okay, I mean, let's be honest here. You don't make tiny pieces of terrain. You'd be like, here is a massive snake mountain. I was like, okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I wanna blow them away. You know. The other thing is also when I'm playing like games too, I like to be like very like certain parts have to be very cinematic, and when like the players roll criticals on anything, like it has to be cinematic. Like I just like the idea of, you know, like my players and me are making a movie kind of thing.
Oh yeah, pretty much. It's always about telling a good story, and when you've got the props on the table and stuff, it always adds that extra layer on top of that.
Right, right, right.
Okay, let's see. David Rodriguez is saying, Ante preferia Tolkien studi, pero desde que descubrí este canal, I'm sorry, I'm not going to keep reading in Spanish because I'm just going to mangle it, but I think he's saying that since he found your channel, he started to prefer building things in 3D. So yeah, that is really good.
That's really cool. That's really cool. That's really cool. You were able to read that too, actually, and understand it. Like, okay,
Yeah, I know a little Spanish, not enough to hold a conversation, but if someone speaks very slowly at me, I can usually figure it out.
right, 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 right. You're lucky. Like Mexicans speak Spanish very slowly, so you're safe.
Okay, and oh, Database Mentor joined us. Hi, Lawrence. So you mentioned that you got into this via D&D, but what was how did you start building terrain? Because usually when you get into role-playing games, it's like here's a book, here's a sheet of paper, pencil, off you go.
It's really funny because I think I use the word D&D because I have no other another way to actually like I, to technically speaking, I've probably only played D&D 2 or 3 times in my life.
Yep, fair.
When
I
I
get what
first
you mean.
started, yeah, when we first started playing this game, we played. This is when it was I was young, uh, and me and my friends got together, and my friend introduced me to like D&D, and he ran a game for us, and that was probably one of the few times where we actually played D&D. The next time, he said, "Oh, would you like to run a game?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll do that," and because he knew I was an artist. So what I ended up doing is I ended up going home. I think I filled like over 100 pages of fully drawn like characters and monsters and things like that I was gonna have in a
Okay.
game. And because we were watching like anime at that point, like a lot of it was inspired by like anime superpowers and everything. So by the second time we played D&D, we weren't even using their magic system. We weren't using like classes. They were like we were already off on our own. And and we played. We just called it the game at that point. Like we didn't call it D&D anymore. Eventually we stopped playing for a while. We started hanging out with another group, friend group, and at some point the we would always get together on Fridays and play board games.
Hmm?
And they wanted to get into D&D, and they asked me to DM because they said that I was the only one in the group that they would trust to be fair with everybody and not just outright try to like kill everybody. So I was like, okay, I'll run the game, but only if you guys let me make my terrain. If I make the terrain and bring it in, all of that stuff, like that's the only way I'll run the game. They're like, sure, whatever, that's fine. And I remember the first session we ran, like the M. Scotty's like purple worm thing.
Yes,
I
yeah.
had recently made one of those. It's back here somewhere. I walked in with that and like a cave system and everything, and from there on, it was just like it was sick. It was like, oh, like this is the way we want to play D&D forever, basically. And obviously, it didn't have the actual stats of the worm. I just needed something big to throw at my player to have
Yeah.
them run away.
So, hi Tina, Tina Martins in the chat, and Scatter Terrain and Campaign Terrain are saying that D&D is the Kleenex of tabletop role playing. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. It's kind of like you call a pen a biro or a photocopier Xerox. You call it a
Hmm.
role playing game D&D.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, and how do you go from there from building your own terrain to starting a channel? Because again, you've been there for some time, so it's I think there were far fewer crafting channels back then.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I feel like I started right when there was like a boom in channels that came up around the time where I started making my channel too. The reason why I started my channel was just strictly for art because um I think at that point I hadn't made much um for a while, and my girlfriend said that it'd just be a waste of talent if I just kept doing it, if I kept not making art. So she asked me, she kind of she was the person that suggested to open up a channel, and that way the channel could kind of hold me accountable
Okay,
for actually having, like, I have to make a project every once in a while, right?
I get you. Oops, have we lost Frankie? Seem to be having some technical difficulties. Hang on in there. Okay, until we get him back, I'm going to post the link to the community showcase so that if anyone wants to show up some stuff later, they can drop it in. Oop, in the chat. No, Steve, it's not over yet. I'm just going to see where he ended up.
Sorry about
Ah,
that.
okay, there you are. You're back.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries, man. Let me just. Ah, okay, you're back.
Got it.
Yay!
Um, so basically, my girlfriend kind of pushed me to basically find a way to like find me to get me to like make projects regularly,
Hmm.
and YouTube was like the perfect way to do it. Basically, she's like, this will kind of force you to put out a project um pretty much like every week or every other week or whatever it was. um so that's how it started. It just started off as a project where it was just a way for me to like keep myself accountable for putting something out every once in a while.
I got you.
And eventually, I think at some point, like when I hit the 1,000 subscribers, I was like, maybe I can do more with the channel, and and then I just kept posting a lot more regularly. Am I going out again? No, right?
No, you're okay. You're okay.
Okay, good, good.
How did it feel going from because you're explaining how you're doing things in on YouTube in the channel, and then you jumped into teaching or showing people how to build things live. Was there a big jump in there? How did you find that?
What do you mean?
Because I mean, there's a difference between giving tutorials on YouTube where you're basically just recording. I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this, and it's different having five, six people in front of you, or however many were
Hmm.
for your workshops in the gallery space, where you have to go. Oh, okay, you're trying to do this, so now you should do this, or hey, this is looking good. What if you do this other thing to it? Did you find a big gap between that, and how do you deal with that?
So are you asking like dealing with like working on YouTube and then working on things in the gallery or anything? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, especially rather than working on the things themselves, it's more about how you explain to other people how to do things.
I think at some point it I lost interest in showing people how to do certain things because I think once you get the basics for crafting, there's not much you can tell somebody to do. I think at least for me, what it is, it becomes about like problem solving. So like even art, crafting, whatever you want to call it, for me at the end of the day, it was like problem solving, and that's what I enjoyed. And what I tried to do at the end was not so much tell people how to do something, but tell people how I problem solved so that if, they might not have the skill to do some of the things I do, or I might not have some of the painting skills to do some of the things I want to do, but I'm
Mhm.
going to try to figure out a way to try to compensate for that in some way. So it became more about like hopefully people like try to figure out how to um, do something with the obstacles that they have in front of them. Like a perfect example would be like if somebody tells you like, "Oh, this is the perfect way to use to make tiles," and you're like, "Well, I don't have the material." And you're like, "Well, I'm gonna look for the next best thing. It might not look as good, or it might not get me there where that person got, but at least I'll be able to use it in my table, and people are gonna like still enjoy playing on that terrain." So I think a focus for me became kind of um, the problem solving aspect of the crafting thing. That's what I really enjoyed, and also just having fun with it and being dumb.
Yeah, that's one of the parts of crafting that I enjoy most. But
Yeah,
I,
I can't. You kind of get tired of like telling people like how many different times can you tell somebody to like, yeah, you just got a dry brush here,
mhm.
the dry brush. That's another reason why I don't like doing the painting tutorial part of my videos, is because I feel like I don't have a lot of insight to tell people aside from like I'm kind of just winging it, and once I like it, that's when I stop. If I don't like it, I'm gonna keep going. Like it's hard to explain that and try to teach people to kind of do that part of the when my process is literally just winging it until I like it.
Yeah, and especially the case that there are only so many techniques. Yeah,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
mean, once you figured out, okay, how to do a clean base coat, how to do a dry brush, the rest is just variations on that. And
Right, right. You can probably count all of the techniques on your hands. Like there's probably not more than 10 techniques. It's just different ways of using the same techniques.
yeah, I mean, even if you're painting, say, non-metallic metal, that's just very careful layering. It's you could break it down. You could break almost anything down into very simple techniques. So
Yeah.
once you've covered those, it's more like you said. How do I apply them to the materials that I have?
Right, 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 right. And I think that's the cool part. Like literally figuring out how to work with different things, or different using your same techniques on something else you haven't used before.
Okay, I had a question here from Dungeon Matron. What inspires each craft? Is it the next game, or someone mentions something, or just sudden ideas?
A lot of it is games. Uh I think that's an issue with the channel too, because sometimes people say it's like too specific, like the craft that I'm making.
Hmm?
Uh because like let's say like I do something like the snake mountain, like that's something. It hurts the fact that it's really original too, because not a lot of people are gonna use that terrain. But hopefully, what I try to get out of that is there are techniques in the video that you can hopefully use somewhere else in one of your projects. But it's always the next campaign, the next setting, the next whatever's going on in my games. That's what inspires the um, the craft. Or if while I'm working on something for my games, I find a technique that works really well with something, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make a side project that uses that technique, and it's gonna be an unrelated thing. But eventually, I end up using most of those things for my games, anyways.
Yeah, I like that because what you've got is basically take Snake Mountain for example. Not many people would find a use for having Snake Mountain,
Right.
but the techniques used for that could be applied to pretty much anything. I think you've used five, six, seven different building techniques in there, and
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Most of the crafting videos I watch, it's not just oh, okay, I really want to build this specific thing, and it's like oh, I like that idea. I'm going to abuse it and build something different based off it.
That's how I do it. That's how I do it. I'm like, when I look at a crafting video, I'm also just like, I might not use whatever they're using, but I do like, I take certain things I learned from the videos and just apply them to different projects.
Okay, we have another question from Dungeon Matron here. How have you found your style changing over the last 5 years or so, and if so, how?
Definitely, I have definitely seen it change a lot. Believe it or not, I think my painting skills have had the most improvement, and I'm kind of like adding like inks to my work as well, because it makes it a lot easier for me to um like perfectly coat something the way I want it to, or blend something because the ink stays like wet longer.
Have you been
So
using
I and
oils as well, or just acrylic inks?
was that
I said, have you been using oils as well, or just acrylic inks?
No, I've been too afraid to get into oils because I don't first of all, the chemical part of it always like scares me a little bit,
There, okay,
but
yeah,
once I get over that, I'll start doing it. But I do think that the paint jobs that you could do with oil are so much better than the ones you could do with acrylic, or at least take a lot less effort to get to a point where like a lot of effort would get you with the acrylics, I think.
I got
So
you.
it's something I've always wanted to experiment with. Um, but if I don't even know if you see my old videos and you see me like when I get to the painting process, I was like not confident at all. And so now I am a lot more confident with my painting. So one big change in my work definitely has to do with the painting. The painting has to be at least like with confidence. Cause and it's funny because people would point out the fact that they love my paint jobs, but I was still
True, yeah.
like thinking, yeah, I was still thinking like, I don't know, I think I could do better, or it's not as good as what's out there. But definitely my paint stuff. I think I've also mixed in a lot more like, I think my style used to be a lot more cartoony, and now it's in a blend in between both like something realistic but also kind of comic-y. Um which is also something else I really like about my style, I guess.
Okay, Dungeon Matron is saying that's how I feel about epoxy pours. I honestly don't think there's anyone who feels comfortable about epoxy pours. It's always like, oh my god, something will go wrong. It's like some of them are more careful than if they were handling uranium or something like that.
Right? Oh man.
Okay, and Campaign Terrain is saying imposter syndrome, the struggle is real. Yes, I don't think I've ever talked to anyone in crafting who did not feel it to some degree or other.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a big weight to carry. Um definitely. Definitely. Also, because I also don't want to come off in my videos like I know what I'm doing, because I don't know what I'm doing. And so I don't know. That's always in the back of my head. Like it's like I really hope I don't come from like a point of authority where really I'm just winging all of this. So I try to make it really clear in my videos that I am just winging everything, you know. This is all an experiment. This is not, you know, this has not been proven.
We've had discussions about this before with several guests, and it seems that that's always one of the things that crafting YouTubers try to keep stressing on, which is like things go wrong. I'm not going to get this perfectly, and
I had so I worked with I worked in carpentry as well before, and one of my favorite things I learned from that was, and this guy was like amazing. He was really good. He basically told me like, "Hey, look, Frankie, like the job is not about how nice you make it look while you're doing it. It's about how nice it looks at the end of it. And a good carpenter is gonna make a job look nice, but a really good carpenter is gonna make mistakes look really nice. So he was basically saying like you're gonna make mistakes like when you're on projects. Like sooner or later, there's gonna be a mistake, and you're only gonna prove yourself as a like good carpenter when you figure out a way to fix those mistakes without actually like compromising anything else and still manage to make it look all good. And I've taken that into the crafting space. I was just like that's why I don't, also don't, the only thing I worry about is like molds making mistakes with these because these things are just expensive. So I'm just like, damn, that's $20 I just wasted right there.
oh, I know, right?
But yeah, but anything else is up for game and everything.
Hello, go for it painting. That and yeah, that is really good advice because one of the things about when you've got a beginner, for example, there is always this point in the project where we call it the ugly phase or the point of suck, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
it just looks ugly because it's unfinished. And for beginners, some beginners, it's like, oh, it looks horrible. I'm never going to get this done correctly. I'm just going to pick it up, throw it away, start something new. So
Right, right,
what you just said was very good advice about that because it might not even be a mistake. It might just be incomplete, and some people
right.
just don't have the experience to realize the difference.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's the happy accidents, man. That's what you got to look at. Like that's what's gonna set your work apart from other people is because you didn't plan to make those mistakes, and they're gonna come out looking like amazing at the end of it or better because it's gonna have something near that. I mean, if somebody wanted to replicate that, they basically have to make the same mistakes you made, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of things that give it character in the end. It's just the little unplanned
Right?
things.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's see. Campaign terrain. That's so funny. I was a carpenter for 15 years. I've always been really confident. Then crafting, and nope. Although I've been tabletop RPG crafting for 40 years.
It's funny. It's funny because in my videos, I make a point to say that I don't measure anything. When I'm working with wood or anything else, like I'm the complete opposite. I'm like everything's getting measured 3 times. Everything, you know, like I'm so precise when it comes to that stuff. And it seems like my mindset completely changes when I go into crafting mode. Like nothing has to be measured. If this piece works out with this piece, good. If it doesn't, I'll figure out a way to make the difference work somehow, you know? Like it's I don't know. I feel like my brain just switches from one to the other one.
It's funny how training does that. It's training and habit does that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Tina Martin saying, always trust the process, and if it doesn't work, spray it over or crush some parts and start over.
I always say that. I always say that. I another thing I think like if you're like I think it's a little bit different for like actual terrain, but if you're like making like creatures and monsters and stuff like that, if you mess up, like it's so easy to fix. You just need to like start making it look bad on purpose and just add a few faces or like hands coming out of it, and then you have some like horror creature in there. You know what I'm saying? And your players don't know what it's supposed to look like. So
Yeah, that's a good point.
it's yeah. I did that by accident with something, and eventually I ended up making an army of creatures that all look kind of like that because it, it just it just worked so well. I was just like, why didn't I think of this before?
Again, happy accidents.
Right.
Yeah, your mistakes are now texture.
I'm also cheap. I don't wanna waste any material. So I'm not
Good point. Yeah.
I'm not gonna let the material go to waste.
Make it look on purpose is really good advice too. Yeah, from scattered terrain. Yep, it definitely is. So, oh yeah, and turn features into bugs.
Yeah, yeah.
No, sorry, turn bugs into features. Other way around. My bad. Sorry, read that wrong.
It's all right. I'm Spanish. It worked for me both ways.
So, Frankie, we were talking earlier about your channel, and you're saying how that you had to take a break from making videos for some time, and you.
Yeah, yeah. I ended up getting sick, and my thyroids were acting up. They were hyperactive. I was burning through everything I ate, like basically like burning calories while I slept even, and I ended up losing a lot of weight. I even had like some of my Patreon people kind of pointed out, and then that's when I knew it was bad because I didn't realize I lost weight. Um, and I went to the doctor. Turned out I had lost like more than 20 pounds. I'm already a skinny person, so like 20 pounds is a lot for me. And it scared me. They basically told me I had to either change my diet or go into medicine. But once I start taking the medicine, I have to take the medicine forever. And obviously, I was like, let me try to change up the diet. And the first thing they said I had to cut out was spicy food, man. And that's something you don't want to say to a Mexican, like at all, because that's like 50% of our diet. And then the other was coffee, which is 50%. That's the other half of my diet. And that was terrible, man. So I can't even like handle spicy food anymore like I used to. Like um that's how bad it was. And coffee, I was only able to like give up coffee for like a month, I want to say, before I started like having at least like one cup in the morning. Uh, but eventually I got a lot better. I went to the gym almost every day. I was eating a lot. I was sleeping well because the main issue, the reason why it started acting up, I think, was the way I was scheduling things. I was doing a lot and I was working a lot. And I kept thinking like, oh, I'll sacrifice a little bit of sleep here and there. I'll sacrifice a little
Ooh,
bit
yeah.
to get things done here and there. So I ended up messing my like sleeping schedule so much that I actually ended up starting having problems. So um after I fixed everything up, I was actually able to gain my weight back, and I was able to gain 10 pounds over that, which was like very rare for me because it's just hard for me to gain weight in general. And that was it took a lot of work, but like I finally like I felt healthy and everything. So that's
Yeah,
that's what mattered. It was
I'm
all good
I'm
after that.
I'm really happy to hear that because it's I mean apart from everything else, even the lack of sleep is really hard on the body. So yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I
Well,
think that's what really messed me up. I think that's like it wasn't anything else, like not my diet or anything else. I just had to do the other stuff to kind of like help my body recover. Um, but it was really the sleep that really like messed me up.
so can we look forward to seeing your videos again soon?
I'm trying to so I'm trying to put some videos out. I made a few. I have like clips for everything, but I keep like second guessing myself on some of the stuff in it, and I keep going back and like fixing things. I literally just posted one of the videos up to the patrons recently, and I'm already thinking of like doing the voiceover again because I like I feel like I feel like I can make my videos better Um, so I'm like second guessing a lot of like the decisions I'm making, or trying to redo a lot of what I'm doing, and it's not getting me anywhere is the problem. So I'm thinking maybe I should just start posting the videos of whether they are where I want them or not, and then from there on, hopefully, like I'll get to fix things on the next video instead.
Yeah,
Um,
that's always such a massive trap, isn't it? It's like, nope, I can make this bit better. Oh, nope, I can make this bit better. And suddenly it's 5 months down the line and you're still fiddling around with the same clip.
right, right, or just like scrapping it and redoing it and ending up with the almost like the same video again, and you're like I just spent 2 more weeks redoing the same video. Yeah.
Okay, we have Leif from Devs and Dice here. Hi, Leif. Good to see you, sir.
Hey,
And RJ's Moodlebox also joined us. Hope you're all doing great. Since we're here, how about we look at some of your of the images you sent me? Can maybe have a word about them?
all right.
Okay, wait. Just one sec. Leif is saying, "Yikes! Yeah, sleeping is so important. I've had a couple of close calls myself because of sleep deprivation. Pretty sure it's a quick path to the grave. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, but
I heard horror stories about people not sleeping.
yeah, I mean, I think the worst times I've had sleep deprivation because of work was in my early 20s, and you know, in your early 20s, maybe your body can take it, but it still really messed me up.
It still messes you up though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's like saying like yeah, in the in like when you're in your 20s, you might survive a wound shot. Like I mean like a knife like stab or something like that, but
Yeah, it's
that doesn't mean
still
like
not
you
a
want
great
to
thing.
take it anyways. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, and in the meantime, I've put one of your pieces up on the screen. I believe this is one of your sewer tiles, yeah?
Yes. Oh man. So I started this project as a gag because I wanted to be able to uh dump my players into the sewer water and just explain to them how now their character is just like covered in, like, I don't want to get too graphic here, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
And so
covered in poo and stuff. Yeah, we got we got the idea.
yeah, 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 we'll do that. And then and it just came out a lot better than I thought it would be, because I ended up making it like into a cell. Um
Okay.
and this same thing, it's the same thing where they were they were in a part of the game where their characters got captured, and so they put them in a cell, and when they wake up they realize this isn't the cell that they thought they were going into. This is like completely different. So there was like a cult thing that was going on as well, where the people from the cult just wanted to get rid of them completely, so they send them to like this specific cell here. And it's like completely inhumane and everything. So I had the players roll to see which out of the all the players was going to end up in one of those like cages that gets and nobody wanted to roll low, obviously. So I try to do stupid things like that in my game, where there's like an ongoing joke or a joke that just keeps happening, and just like really dumb things like that. So that's one of the things here, where nobody wants to end up in the cage and everything. And then when the player does end up in the cage, I take my time to explain to them everything that's happening with their character, and how it's, like the cage is slowly going down and everything. Like the other players have some time to maybe help them out, but it's just enough time for them to fail. And
that
yeah, but
that's
I had a lot of fun doing this.
yeah, I can imagine, but that's a hell of a flex. I mean, making all this for just for that joke, it's that's classy.
The funny thing is, it's really cool that the way I kind of divided the way I made it modular, I made it so that some of the pieces could be used without the cell part, And then I
Okay.
was able to put like bosses in those spaces because it was big enough to have something like there. Um, to so it made it very like anytime like the players went into the sewers, it was a different setting because there's a different like centerpiece almost. The centerpiece was always different, and it changes everything.
I'm liking the way you use these colors to, and I think there's some kind of texture there if I see correctly.
Yeah, yeah, um to separate the brick from like the other texture,
Okay,
almost like a plaster on the floor.
I see it. Alright.
Yeah. And it also helps with like changing settings. So we can go from this blocks
Okay.
or tiles, and we kind of start putting other pieces together, and it kind of slowly transitions to a different tile. So it could be like outdoors, it could be like within a castle, a cave, like it just made it easier for like a transition to something else, you know.
I get you. I think that's something that old pixel art video games used to do, having these kind of in between tiles for that kind of thing.
Yes, yes, and that's exactly where I got the idea from
Aha!
actually.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
The water looks, sufficiently icky.
I actually that became one of my favorite colors, to be honest with you. It's like a burnt umber, I think. And I started using it on so many projects. It kind of just becomes the shadow of my projects. Like
Like the
so I start adding color on top of it.
so like the for the darkest color, use that as the shadow. Okay, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, I usually go for very dark grays or very dark blues mostly, but yeah,
Yeah,
it has
dark
this
blue works
warm
really well
color.
too. Yeah. Yeah.
And what do you use for a water effect? Is that hot glue or I don't?
No, that one is resin,
All right.
and I put it up on my shelf, and I even I got the level and everything, and I was like, okay, the shelves are leveled, but I never thought to check the other way around too. So when I put
Ah,
everything
okay,
down, you
I
could
get you.
tell here stuff started shifting back because the shelf was leveled this way, but not this way,
I get you.
and I never realized up until I made this project, and I mean it didn't matter because you can't really like tell where the difference is.
I mean, I don't think you get pure players going in with a tiny level and checking the water there because
Right? Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, because you see that on the table, you're just going to go, oh wow, things are going to go bad. Okay, jumping onto the next image. Okay, and I'll be honest, I have no idea what this is. It looks awesome, but I
So
have no idea.
so let me see the next picture just to I think I sent you two pictures
Yeah, you did.
and it might have to do with it. Yeah, so this was a project that I was working on with a buddy of mine. His name is or wait, I don't know if he wants me to say his name, but he basically has Neckbald Possum Productions is the company that he does. And he and I worked on a Kickstarter, and it was really cool because it's supposed to be like a carcass almost of
Uh-huh.
this giant golem, and the hand it's supposed to be slightly alien, but you know, still noticeable enough for you to tell it's an arm coming out of the ground, and it's holding something that it's basically like stopping time or like an item that has to do with time, and that's why it seems like the hand hasn't actually decayed while everything else decayed.
Oh, okay,
And
because yeah, these parts here do look a lot like bone and stuff.
right, right. And that was really cool working with him on that stuff.
Hey, look, a tiny
uh
scorpion.
I love scorpions. I love spiders and scorpions. I think I use them almost every campaign I play. And there's also like gears if you like embedded in the ground and everything that you can see.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
And it's supposed to be like mixed, like magic and technological kind of things together.
Yeah, I see there are some more back here. Yeah.
I like these a lot too because I use the gears as steps to get up that cliff. So players use the gears to get up there.
Nice. Okay, so it's not just decoration. They make it more playable.
Yeah, I try to always have like it's funny. I sometimes hear discussions that have to do with like theater of mind and
Mhm.
versus like actually having terrain out. And I feel like sometimes people that play theater of mind think that all we're doing with our terrain is putting it out there and saying everything you see here is the only thing you see. When in actuality, we're playing as much theater of mind as they are because there might be things on the craft itself that isn't there that we have to explain it's there
Mhm.
or have like markers of something. So it's it just makes it easier for like the players to know exactly where they are. But we're playing as much theater of the mind as they are sometimes too. We're just using the terrain to help us get farther along in something, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
totally, totally. It's not literally okay. It's only exactly this thing that I made here, nothing else. Yeah, for sure.
right, 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 right.
Okay. Oh, Zane Morgan joined us. Hi, Zane. Hope you're doing good, buddy. And but what I wanted to talk about in the next picture was this stone. This looks beautiful.
Oh man, I think I looked at so many reference pictures for this, and I think eventually after this project, I think this is the kind of the color scheme that I actually ended up just going with afterwards. Uh, because bark, well, first of all, bark makes just stonework so much easier with
Okay.
a little bit of plaster,
Is that all bark and plaster?
and it's bark and plaster,
Nice.
maybe like a few like sand things here and there, but um the I forgot where I looked. I was looking at cliffs, and it must have been somewhere tropical or something because the stone looked very kind of like warm, and I just like that. And the other thing is, I think the orange looks really well versus like in comparison to like the green up there,
Yeah.
like kind of they contrast each other in some way. So I think eventually I just started like using kind of like yellows and oranges and reds in the stones, and the browns are always like at the bottom and everything to kind of like help the transition from like the dirt. But yeah, oh, this was a lot of fun to work with, man.
So, how did you apply these? Because it looks a bit like you put some washes on, but only in very specific places.
Sometimes I do washes to kind of like fake shadows instead.
Mm-hmm.
So I will only do the wash up to where the shadow needs to be. Um, I think there's like I play around with like the steps of dry brushing and then doing washes, then dry brushing again and then doing washes. Like I go back and forth maybe once or twice before I decide that it's where I want it to be. Um and to make sure that also like the paint job doesn't look too spotty,
I get you.
that the transitions look like smooth. Um
No, but for sure you've got some places here, especially around. You could have you could fool me that this could be actual rock.
that's good. That's a good. I did my job.
Okay. And okay, classic question. How do you do the foliage? Because that's something that I'm still trying to figure out, for example.
Oh man, this is terrible. I struggle so much with um trees and when it comes to crafting.
Hmm.
They either look too cartoony or they look almost real, but they're just like not there yet. And for this one, it's just big pieces of foam that I sprinkled with like smaller um
Flock and stuff, yeah.
um foam block, yeah. And it looks okay. I've done like so many different styles of trees. I don't know how to pick like what the right one should be or is, or it's just I have a hate love relationship with just like trees in the hobby.
Yeah, I know. Same feeling exactly. And
Right.
is the base sorry, is that a stick? The branches I
No,
mean and
I
stuff?
think I actually use wired for this one because I wanted to
Oh, okay.
control. Yeah, I wanted to control like what
Okay, yeah.
I wanted to control it a little bit better.
Yeah, makes if I look closer now I can see the twists here, I think. Yeah, makes sense.
Hmm.
Nice.
I think in the channel I've done like 4 different ways to make trees,
I
and there's
I think
always
I've
like
seen you do a
something
few, yeah.
missing. The oatmeal is one of my favorite ones, and I still have people asking if they started to rot yet, and they have not started to rot yet. I don't have one at hand right now, but they're still good. It hasn't gone bad. It hasn't attracted animals. Nothing. It's still good.
Okay, just a second, going back to the chat here. Uh, then Jamaitan says that is gorgeous. And Questboard Terrain is asking for the storage issue. Could you sell or donate to terrain to a game store? It's sad to think of any of this being thrown out. Yeah, it would be that would be really sad.
Mm.
Okay, Isa Martel, excellent job on those cliffs. Hi Isa, how you doing? Long time no speak, man. And Scattered Terrain is asking, are the oatmeal trees and bushes in the photos? Those were the first project I ever saw of his. I remember those.
I just like it because I was hiding like characters underneath the things or popping the balloons in the project.
Yeah, that was papier mache and oatmeal on top, yeah?
Yeah. When I was doing the classes, that was a nice project too for the kids because
Alright.
they all love popping. They just love popping the balloon. I'm like, wait until everything is dry. It's like, no, they're messier this way, and then they'd go off and pop it, just like splatter paint. I mean, glue everywhere.
It's part of the creative process, come on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whatever got them to work on stuff. Yeah, I wasn't gonna question it.
Okay, let's jump on to the next one. Ooh, okay. Again, I have no idea what this is, so go ahead.
Yeah, let me see that guy. He is like an insect slash like steampunk like creature. Like I think the way I was thinking it is like it's like people basically started enhancing something that already had armor, like natural armor,
Okay,
and started putting like more armor pieces on top of it. Uh, and the back of it actually it still has. Let me see if I got it right here.
okay.
So the
Hang on.
the steam
There you go.
coming off of it.
Oh, wow. I didn't expect
Yeah,
it to be that large.
yeah. The steam. Well, it's not as large one. Like you take off the because these are disattach. You can disattach the steam from it. Um, the steam is it's really cool. I was just messing around with. You know how like a lot of people do like the little like indicators that like a bomb went off or something like that.
Yeah.
I thought that technique was really cool, but I was like I want to make something like that from a creature that basically like I wanted it to move like a spider, but have that feel of like a train coming at you, like where if you don't move
Mm,
out of the way, it's just completely gonna destroy you. Um, and then that's where I got the idea from, like the steam, like the like a train almost. Uh, But I forgot. Oh, but this was part of Monster Bash actually. Now that I remember, with
Is that
Trent
from
from Miscast and all of
Miscaster? Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because I just like I was trying to figure out like why did I put a tongue like a frog in there, and that was one of my cards. Like I had a frog there. Um, but this was a lot of fun because when I painted it, a lot of people once I point this out, they can't unsee it. The paint job is actually like the color scheme from Cell from Dragon Ball Z. So the green and the purple,
Oh crap.
and
Okay, yeah, I see it now.
then it has like the actual like textures. If you actually see it in person, you can see some of those little squares, the pattern that he has on,
Uh-huh.
and that was really cool because all I think about is Dragon Ball Z when I look at it sometimes.
How did you get that texture on there? Is it sculpted or is it painted on?
Oh, no, 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 no. Yeah, so like I said before, like I think I'm not the greatest painter, so my technique here is to use texture as much as possible to fake the painting process. And I literally just take my tools
Mm-hmm.
and the texture on my tools, I just roll it around parts of the sculpture to get more detail. And then so you fake a lot of detail that way. And it looks good.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the more detail you can get on the model, it's always better to have it there, kind of thing. It,
Right, yeah.
I'm
It's
not.
stuff you don't have to like draw like every single
Yeah,
detail. You can do like a dry brush and get all of it in one swipe.
yeah. I mean, I really admire people who can do painting on miniatures, and we're talking about stuff. I, I I believe it was Semlens who was doing his. Uh, I believe it was skulls on a Titan sized miniature, so it was still pretty chunky. And
Hmm.
I believe I'm not sure if it was a Russian or a Ukrainian artist. I know she's on Instagram, but basically she paints these brocade cloths on miniatures, and they always look fantastic. But I'm like, that's so pretty. I am not doing that.
Yeah, no, I've seen some people. I I don't even know what kind of brush they're using because it just they zoom out and then the detail that they were painting on is like it's not even the size of like the size of the brush. I'm just thinking like how do they how I don't I don't something doesn't fit here. Something doesn't make sense.
Yep, does not compute.
Right.
The loose chains really add to this. I like the idea of having loose parts on the miniature, so there's movement on not actual movement,
Right.
but it's there's something animated in there.
Oh, it's definitely yeah, no, it definitely is movement. That's what it is. And in some ways, sometimes too, even though it's a chain, it does make the piece feel more alive. Like once you move the piece and then the chains are still moving, it does feel like it just stopped or it does give it some like sense of like action that is actually happening on your board. Um
Oh yeah. Scattered terrain is saying great lighting on the photo. It looks like it's coming out of the shadows. Yeah, it does.
yeah, appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, jumping on. Oh, okay. I think I remember this one.
Man, that's one of my favorites.
I really like the grime effects you got going on there.
I think I was watching a lot of Eric workshop
Hmm.
at that time because I really wanted to get like the rustic effect on the bottom part of Bowser properly. I wanted to look like it's Bowser, he's not cleaning his equipment. He's not killing his he's not cleaning his killing tools.
Is this the one you had done in a collaboration with Narb and Barenderup?
Yes,
Ah, okay, okay.
yes, yeah. It was, I don't even remember. I think, oh, no, no, no. Yeah, yeah. Um, Ryan sent this to me. He sent me the actual Tarask. And it was funny because I was just like, what am I like, when am I ever gonna use the Tarask? You know, he's like, I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I'm making like a Bowser Tarask thing, like, and because the glue was all messed up and everything. There was so many things wrong with like the sculpture itself that I needed to do fixing in.
Okay.
And I was like, well, if I'm gonna fix all this stuff, like I want to change it all completely because I don't want to do a whole bunch of fixing and then end up with the same miniature that I would have ended up with if I just like got it myself or something, right?
Ah, I got you.
And
Okay, yeah.
Baron's really cool because he goes like I'm sending you stuff. I'm sending all of this stuff for selfish reasons. I want to see what you do with them. That's why I'm sending them, you know. And so I'm like, okay, I got it. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just uh make like the gnarliest like Bowser I can make. And originally I wasn't gonna put him on the clown
Hmm.
helicopter thing, but one of like my like like funniest memories when I was growing up as a kid was I believe that when I was a kid and I was watching like playing these pixelated games, I actually saw these things the way they look right here in front of you and
I,
not pixelated at all.
I
You
totally,
know,
totally get what you mean.
in my head, yeah, in my head, I would see the pixels. I would be like, this is so realistic. Like, how did they do this? Like, and so I wanted to also capture the idea of how I saw things as a kid when I was making this project too. You know, you finally get to the final boss in like Super Mario and it's Bowser and he's got this clown helicopter thing and like you're like this guy's gonna murder me here. Like you're actually scared as a kid. You don't want to lose, you know? And that's what I was trying to like kind of like capture here with this project too.
Yeah, it's funny now that you mention it because yeah, old video games never looked the way that I remember them.
Right. Some things were just scary. Now you look at it,
Yeah,
it's like, what is this, like 5 squares?
yeah, because I remember when the first Doom was released way back, and
That actually looked good.
it looked good, but there was also that thing of you open the door and Nimb jumps out and he's screaming and you're like ah.
Right.
Okay, scatter terrain. The purple fantasy cloud is a great contrast. Yeah.
I still have them back here. They're kind of hiding behind me.
Okay, Earthman brick. So you painted the death claw to look like Bowser. I think there's a lot more than just painting going on there.
Oh yeah, no, I gave it the hair. So I lost one of the arms. I think it's the one on the other side. I had to actually sculpt the other arm,
Oh, wow,
and
alright.
then the second I finished the project, I found the arm, and I was like of course you find it when you don't need it, you know.
Exactly. But I
And
mean,
then
you'll find another use for it, I guess.
I think I lost it again, which was the worst part.
You know, when the stars are right, it will show up again.
Right, right, right. When I need one single claw. Yeah, so there is actually some sculpting done, and then the actual like clown thing I had to make myself. I think the very bottom of it is just like a Lego piece from like a space thing or something.
All right. Okay. What I was looking at earlier was this band of green paint here because that looks exactly like green paint when there's rust under it. And I was wondering.
Anything that was, what is that?
No, so I was wondering how you got that texture going in there because that for example is something that I would really like to replicate on some of my stuff.
Yeah, see, that's the problem with some of the stuff that I make.
Uh-huh.
Some stuff just happens accidentally, and that is just my uh, inability to smoothen out the clay that I used to make it. I was trying to make it as smooth as possible, but
Okay.
at some point I just couldn't make it smooth anymore, and that's what I got stuck with. But it actually does look like it rested underneath the paint.
Yeah.
Um, but that was completely all accident. I mean, I can probably replicate it now. Um, Now that you mention it, see, now I'm gonna have to do it next time for
Okay.
another project.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I think yeah, if you started off from clay, I think I might be able to try that myself. So yeah, thanks.
yeah,
Because at first glance, this looks like it was something from a plastic cup or something like that to begin with. But no, I think I see other signs of working clay in here.
yeah. No, it is. I didn't want to make it like completely smooth. So I when I started off the project, I was gonna use a cup, like a
Mhm.
round cup, and I didn't like how smooth it was. I wanted some texture, so I ended up just making ended up making it out of clay. I think it's the air dry clay too, which I try not to use anymore because where I live, there's a lot of humidity during the summer, and
Mm.
it sometimes actually ends up reactivating
Oh, well,
the
okay.
clay underneath the paint. So then you have moisture building up like the
I see. I didn't even know that
underneath
was
the
a
paint.
thing that could happen.
I didn't know either.
Oh, ouch.
Um, yeah, and not a lot of my projects, like a lot of like the test things that I did. Um, Most of those ended up like I started noticing that on those. Uh, but the Bowser was okay.
Did you use some kind of fabric to texture it? Because I'm seeing these tiny regular patterns on it. It's almost like a grid, especially around this area.
It's it's just anything. I could like even if I had like aluminum or a rock or something like something to give it slight uh texture. And then some other parts I actually tried to smooth it out a lot so that there'd be some like contrast between like places with texture and not texture or because I think the key to painting a lot of this stuff when you're like actually like sculpting your own models
Hmm.
is trying to get as much texture or contrast as you can before you actually start painting it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But I mean, even without the Bowser inside and whatever, I could see this as being part of some post-apocalyptic terrain or something like that. Maybe something from Fallout. Maybe it's like an amusement park or stuff like that.
Yeah, or like on top of a building, like delis like kind of use like the cups sometimes.
Yeah, and Dungeon Matron is saying there are stairs under the eyes are marvelous. Yeah, yeah, they're. Okay, here we have some kind of boneyard next. Uh,
Yeah, catacombs.
okay,
Yeah, I
was this for
think
a
this
game as well?
thing, I think it was actually. So, uh, I think the players were actually looking for like a creature that was kind of like infecting like the area with its own magic. And when they actually come to the place where the creature is supposed to be, something else had already killed that monster or the creature. And so the players kind of, I think they walked into a trap where some other entity was actually setting them up. And I think I have like pieces either like skulls or oh, it was a necromancer. So um like a necromancer that ended up killing this creature and now used it as like it brought it back to life and everything. So the players had to fight that creature and also had to fight a whole bunch of skeletons that were just like crawling out of that space.
Okay, I think I recognize this skull. It's from the It looks like something from the Games Workshop Skull box, Skull kit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I still think that's one of their best products ever.
I think so.
This skeleton, on the other hand, I'm guessing that the arms and claws are sculpted.
Actually, I think most of it is from like Halloween decorations.
Oh, okay.
Um, whenever I can, like, whenever I can find something that like looks the way I want it to, or looks like something I can use, I'd rather just use those than actually make it from scratch,
Yeah, that makes
because
sense. Yeah.
obviously it's so much faster.
And you can focus on the things that you really want to make in a particular way. Yeah.
Right, yeah. The other thing with the skulls in the background that are in that hole too, I ended up using stamps because I didn't want to, I didn't want to waste any of my skulls. You know, it was a lot of skulls. I'm like this project's gonna like just run me dry.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
And so
it.
instead of using the skulls from anything, I ended up making like a little stamp from something,
Mhm.
and I made the clay, and then I just started just stabbing it with it, and um, and I got away with it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really great. It reminds me of something that Earthman Brick did recently with some bases. Pretty much the same concept, but yeah. Did you put some resin in there between the piles of bones, or is it just paint?
The It's just paint.
Okay,
I should. I
because it
should. I
looks
was looking at it now, and I was also thinking of like adding more colors in there.
because it looks like they've some of them are under some dirty water or something like that. Because it's a really cool effect.
Yeah, yeah. No, I should. I should probably add something there.
Okay, and I'm guessing this was originally some kind of foam packaging.
Oh, yes. Yeah, 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 yeah. Like I said, I try to cut out as much time as I can. And I already had like that piece that just looked it had everything I needed. So all I had to do was like build the arcs and
Yeah,
everything.
the ones in the front, yeah.
Yeah, like, and then add some blocks here and there, and then just fake some skulls. Like it, I probably didn't do much work for this. Um, aside from like gluing all the pieces together.
I mean, it's the end product that counts, not the not how much work you put into it.
Right, 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 right. A lot of the time too, I like put myself in deadlines where I probably shouldn't put myself in this kind of deadlines where it's like, oh well, next week you guys are gonna be like getting to the heart of the catacombs, and I'm like, I don't have anything that fits that, so I have to build something, and I jump into the studio and I have to like basically make a project in like 2 days.
One thing I'm really liking about this is that packaging foam tends to have that texture that's very hard to get rid of. But here, I think you've managed to cover it up practically everywhere. Maybe it shows a
I
little here in the on the left, and
Yeah, sometimes instead, so sometimes with the material, let's say for any of the walls, I chose to hide it, but
mhm,
anytime like the points that you are pointing out, those areas I did choose to say like, oh, maybe that could be like kind of like stones together. And
mhm.
so I kind of used the texture there instead.
Over here next to the stairs, I can only see a little bit here, but again, that looks really good, like broken rock and gravel and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So that's really nice work.
Right.
I like the idea just mentioned of just hiding it selectively rather than because yeah, once you break it up in little chunks like this, okay, this bit might make sense here and stuff. Yeah, nice. And oh yeah, and how do you make the stamps? Is just
I literally took some clay and a skull and just kind of went like this, and I waited for it to dry, and once it was dry, I just started stabbing the clay there. I just had to change add some shapes to where I was adding the clay. So a lot of what where the skulls are in that,
Hmm?
a lot of that is just like aluminum, and then I put the clay on top of it.
Ah, okay, just so you don't have a big blob of clay. You have aluminum on their structure and then a layer of clay on top. Yeah,
Right, just to add some movement,
I got you.
some depth.
Okay, so let's see. Earthman Brick is saying a layer of glue. I think he's talking about the reactivation of the clay you mentioned earlier. Layer of gloss should stop that.
Hmm. When I first started making the projects, I thought that the um Mod Podge was gonna be enough, but for some reason with clay, with the air dry clay that I was using, it wasn't working 100% of the time. So what I ended up doing is I stopped working with it at, at all, like the air dry clay.
What,
I
what are
mean, not at
what
all actually.
what are you using now instead?
Um, I still use air dry um air dry clay with some projects, but very very uh scarcely, not very often.
Right?
If I have to do something, I'm gonna probably use like sculpt the mold or plaster or something like that. So, but when it comes to modeling, I don't use air dry clay for modeling anymore at all. I started using oh, what's it called? It's
Like Sculpey or something like that?
epoxy, which is basically like um it's
Milliput?
basically the same thing. Yeah, it's like a milliput kind of thing.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean,
Um it's
those work
epoxy
really
it's
well.
called.
Yeah.
Yes, guys.
Ah, okay, yeah, okay, no one.
Yeah. And that I love that stuff a lot more. And it's a lot tougher, and it takes like textures very well. Like it just it's become like my go-to thing for like modeling and everything.
Yeah, and with any kind of epoxy-based clay, you don't have to worry about cracking. So, yeah.
Yeah, it yeah, like there's almost no shrinkage or anything. Um and it's super hard for it to like break, but if you do break it, it's funny, it breaks in a way where most of the time you're gonna be able to fix it. Like it's just weird. um
uh, it depends on the putty. For example, green stuff. With green stuff, it's very difficult to break it because it always has that little amount of flexibility.
yes, yeah.
But yeah, again, it depends. I mean, we're not building these things to throw them at the wall or something. It's
My players do that. No, I'm gonna stop.
okay. Where was I? One second. Oh yeah, Dungeon Matron. I think Frankie would have no problem using baby doll heads in his builds.
Oh, that's so funny, that's so funny. I saw something, I think it was a magic card or something,
Okay.
or I don't know what it was, but it made me think of like a golem, like a very like gruesome kind of looking golem that I want to make now. That I just have to go to the like dollar store and get the baby, uh, those baby things, that the package of like what are these? They're used for baby showers. I think they're like little baby toys. It's an actual baby. And I just want to make a golem out of babies now.
Okay. Yeah, Lisa, you've got company, I think. Because Dungeon Maiden tends to use a lot of baby doll heads and baby doll parts in her build, so yeah.
I love that stuff.
She's terrifying. Send help. Nah, not really. Oh yeah, by the way, Lisa, happy birthday.
Hey, happy birthday.
It was a couple of days ago, but yeah, happy birthday.
Happy late birthday.
Okay, okay, we're coming on to a big one now. Dun, dun, dun.
This is probably my favorite like piece I've ever worked on.
Okay, want to walk us through it?
I think this is the first time where I actually like looked at my work and said, I think I can actually paint. Um, and it the idea was it started off because I didn't like the idea of like goblins being used as like the starting kind of like enemy for almost every campaign.
Uh-huh.
Not mine, but just in general. And I was like, it made no sense to me. I'm like, how could the goblin race like have enough intelligence to kind of like survive in the world, but not enough intelligence to like create a culture, I guess. Like
Yeah, I mean,
it just
especially when you've got some stuff like, for example, goblins invent all kinds of things like bombs and guns and stuff like that in a medieval fantasy world, and they're kind of the stupid underdogs. It's like, yeah, this, are you sure you thought that one out?
yeah, there's something just not adding up to me. And I was just like, you know what, um I wanna I basically turn the goblin in my like games that I run, like goblins are like Mesoamericans. Kind of like I've taken like the culture, like the Mesoamerican culture, and mixed it in a little bit with like Japanese culture
Okay.
to create something for them. And it's one of like my favorite things I've ever done because like I know that whenever a goblin shows up in one of my games, like my players get excited because they're so aware of I've used them in almost every game, you know, and they're so aware of like the lore and the background of the goblins at this point that they know that they're in for some like cool part in the story or something like that, you know. Um
What are
and
what are these totem things? The blue parts on top of these poles here.
they're like snakes.
All right.
They're
Oh
like
yeah. Okay.
miniature snakes. And I think uh Crafts and Minis, he sent me a whole bunch of these and I ended up using them. I use them as statues, but I also use them in game as like when they go into the temple, I use them as like actual snakes that move around in there and attack the players
All right.
or attack the enemies of the players because a lot of the time like my players side with the goblins and everything to get through the story. Um this is like the it's a Aztec god basically, and painting I I I think this is like the project that's taken me the longest to make, um because I knew that the paint job had to be like perfect. I spent I think I spent as much time painting it as I did actually building it, and
Yeah.
the face I think the face for it was just like it I had I've done things when I started painting the face. I was using techniques I'd never used before too, and I was experimenting a lot, like a lot of transitions, a lot of wet
Mhm.
blending.
Yeah, I was looking at this area in fact, and you've got a really nice smooth blend going over, and that's a large area. So it's how large is that, out of curiosity?
It is big. It's this is I think a 2 feet by 2 feet, and it's 2 feet tall, like
Okay.
the actual craft. Um,
Yeah, I mean, getting a nice smooth blend is one thing, but getting a nice smooth blend over that area is that's really good work.
yeah, but the thing, it took me so long to do it. I think like that's what it was. I think there were parts where I was like, oh, I got it all like perfectly done except for this one spot. So you kind of have to paint the whole thing, like or most of the area again to make sure that you get it properly again. Um, and it comes apart, which because whenever I make something, I don't just make it for like, oh, I want this to look cool. I actually want to be able to play with the pieces that I make,
Of course, yeah.
and so it comes apart and everything, so the players can actually like play inside of it. And there's different levels, and there are different like there's an underground of it. So I would set up another part of like the table would just be split into like four different rooms, and the players were in different rooms and everything. Um, This is definitely my favorite piece I've ever done.
Yeah, I can imagine because this is really good work. Quest Borterine is asking, what are the red scales made of?
That's just pasta.
You
I
mean,
think it's orso. It's called the orso. It's a pasta. The orange scales. The other scales, it was just a stamp.
these ones here, yeah? These are stamps.
Yeah, those are stamps, and the ones on the top are it's just pasta and like construction adhesive.
Yeah, dude, when you play with your food, you do some really amazing stuff.
Right? Yeah, 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 yeah. You have to choose wisely, make sure it doesn't rot.
Yeah, good point. But I mean, dried pasta, once it's sealed, it is pretty stable, I'd say.
Oh yeah, yeah. Nothing happens.
No, I think this is when
So
you've
that
taken it apart.
yeah, so that's just the top part. And on the other side of the skull, I mean of the head, is like it's a platform where they would do the sacrificing.
Okay, good. Tiny mushroom scatter.
Little mushrooms, yeah. Sometimes when we're crafting things, I wonder, oh, those are oatmeals. I forgot on the
Oh,
basis of
yeah,
the
I was going to ask
that's
the.
oatmeal right there. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, that really works well as
Um,
a ground cover.
yeah. When we're working on things like this, sometimes I wonder like how much detail is too much. Like, I was making like a bar the other day, like a tavern, and I started making like the bottles and everything. And then at some point I paused and I was like, I could just tell my players there's like bottles on the shelves and then call it a day. Like, why am I doing this?
I mean, I don't think there's a thing as too much detail. It's just if you get bored, then yeah, it's probably a good time to stop. But otherwise, as long as you're happy adding stuff, just keep adding stuff.
Right, yeah.
Okay, dirty basement terrain. I use mealworms and they aren't rotting yet. I, but Lawrence,
Wait, mealworms?
mealworms, yeah. But I think he encased them in resin. I'm not entirely sure about that.
Oh.
But if they're encased in resin, yeah, there's no way they're ever rotting. Someone in the future can probably use them to clone dinosaurs or something. It's
You know what would be interesting to do actually with some of those things is making a single one of it and then making a mold and then just making like plaster copies of the textures.
hmm, yeah,
And then
yeah.
you don't have to worry about you don't
About
have to worry about
anything
things going
rotting and
bad.
stuff. Yeah,
Right, yeah.
yeah. You get the texture and you actually get a lot more flexibility of what you can do with it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, Quest Terrain is saying, looking at my pantry with new eyes. I've used whole cloves and coffee grounds, but there's so much more.
And your projects will smell nice.
Yeah, I think we've used tea here. I think we had a whole challenge going with that last year. Uh, Tea, coffee grounds. I don't think I've ever used pasta, but yeah, can see that going on. Thing is that I never leave pasta long enough for it to go bad, and I don't like using food that's still usable. But
It's funny because I think at some point I stopped eating pasta and I was left with some and I was like, I might as well use this.
oh yeah, I mean,
And then I had to go buy up more stuff like for this project specifically. And now I have 2 bags of pasta that I'm definitely not gonna eat, that I'm still probably gonna use somehow.
yeah, okay. I mean, it beats throwing it away for sure.
Hmm.
Oh, this is a nice shot. So is that where that tea light is there? Is that like the play render?
That's yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you open up the if you divide it into sections inside in there, the players can actually play in there. And the way it separates, obviously, the players can get their hands in there and move their characters around and everything.
I gotcha.
It's really cool for this specific project. I was thinking a lot about um let's say like the actual like temple being invaded. So I
Mhm.
was keeping in mind like sight lines to the inside and outside. So there's like places in within the sculpture itself that are very like strategic on like if an archer were to set himself in one of these areas, they could just act like a sniper almost because they have enough cover and enough movement to just kind of like go in and out and shoot and then get cover again and everything. So the original idea when I started working this like when related to the game was this place is going to get invaded and it's up to the players to like protect it. So um I was thinking a lot about like how do the players like find cover in there and line of sight, who can they see? And I made like specific like markers so that when I do take it apart, the players, even though the pieces are separated, they can still tell exactly where the other levels are in relationship to them.
I see. So if there's
Um,
a like a window or a sniper perch, you can still say, okay, it was in that general area. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. High evolution of gaming. Uh, to tell you the truth, that's something I do a lot with wargaming terrain, plotting out that kind of thing. Not so much for role playing terrain. But
hmm
yeah, that's a
I
good
think
point. That it's something like I know I have to think about it for wargaming, but for some reason I just that part of my brain doesn't switch on for role playing terrain.
the funny thing is, I think I've when I play D&D, a lot of the time, like my players are more into like the violent way of solving issues. Um, Not so much like being diplomatic and everything. So a lot of my games, I have that like idea that all right, I know at some point my players are gonna be like, screw this, let's just shoot everybody. And so I have to think of when I'm talking about my terrain, I gotta think about like, okay, like this is gonna be a battlefield here. This is gonna be a battlefield here. So I always keep in mind that like how can the players use this strategically? And I'm thinking like, like a complicated like game of chess.
Yeah, true. I get what you mean. Okay, one more. Here we are. I like how you repeated the snake motifs on the pillars.
Yeah, repetition. Those little miniatures are pretty cool too. I gotta thank um Crabs and Minis for sending them to me.
It's really good stuff.
And I was able to like basically like copy and paste the color scheme over to them too.
Second.
And
Uh,
I was able to copy and paste basically the color scheme of the snake mountain over to the actual like little miniature snakes too, very easy because of that design that it had in the front.
yeah, so we could kind of keep the whole team going, kind of thing. Yeah, man, this is really something.
Another reason why I wanted this thing to be very colorful was because in um in the cultures like the Mesoamerican cultures when they actually had built a lot of this stuff. Nowadays you see it's like gray, yellowish, like all of those colors. But in reality, when they had made them, they were very colorful in the way that they decorated everything. And so I wanted to make sure that when I made these pieces, the terrain didn't look so much as a ruin. It I wanted it to look still like a temple that was being taken care of.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense, and it does give it a lot of personality because I think a lot of people do, including myself, do a lot of grays and browns, like you mentioned, and it's when you have something like this, it really says, "Oh, what's going on there?"
hmm
It's a different aesthetic entirely, and I really like it.
Thank you.
So, do you have any builds planned now or something that you're working on?
Um, I recently did a campaign that was kind of inspired by the Hateful Eight from Quentin Tarantino.
Okay.
And that's the first time. It was funny because I kind of like found myself in a hole that I never thought I'd find myself in. And I was like, I usually have like monsters be enemies, and this time around it was like mostly soldiers, and I realized like I didn't have enough miniatures painted for like I had enough monsters and everything, but I didn't have enough miniatures painted for like what I wanted to do. So I had to rush out a whole bunch of paint things for miniatures and everything to get it done. And that was after I got the project done because I wanted to get the I basically made the tavern from the movie, and I ran the game in there. And it was really cool because my players it's funny because I had one of my friends doesn't role play that much, and he was like really trying this time around, and he was like really enjoying it. And it got to the point where he realized that he's like, wait a minute, aren't we like isn't this that movie? And I start laughing. I start laughing because I'm like I'm I'm not good at like keeping a straight face. I start laughing, and then he says something that it completely because he was role playing very well up until this point, and then he goes like, "Isn't this that movie where everybody dies?" And I start laughing even more. And then so I like to have music too in the background, and it was perfect because in the movie there's a song that basically says like not like nobody's gonna make it out alive. Basically, that's the movie like that's. And I start playing that, and I start laughing again, and he's like, "Oh, this guy." He's like, he's actually trying to kill it. Like he stopped role playing like for the rest of the game. That session, it actually got split up into two sessions. He stopped because now he thought I was purposely out there to kill the players, which I
Oh,
wasn't.
all
But
right.
it was funny because they were like he convinced the group that I was like that's the point of the campaign. The point of the campaign is how each of the characters that they're playing dies, and it's funny just seeing them panic and everything. That was a lot of fun. But they all made it out alive and everything. Like I only use certain aspects of the movie to, it was like more of a setting thing and like have them kind of feel familiar with something, just familiar enough, and then changing things here and there for them to have a completely different experience than the movie. And that was a lot of fun. So I worked on the tavern for that. I recorded everything, but I don't know if I'll make a video on the actual crafting of it. There was one thing that came out of it. Let me see if I can get it. That was really cool. Uh, there's like a little backdrop
Ooh, nice.
that's like a fireplace. Oh, my chair started going down.
Oops.
It's a little fireplace thing. Uh, and then it's got like,
Ooh, I like
and
that.
that's sort of taken. It's sort of taken from the movie as well. Um, it kind of turned into a mystery, sort of like the game, because like in the movie, somebody poisons the coffee, and like some people start dying off that. And it's funny because I hinted the whole time that the coffee was kind of like, or it was ale in the movie. I mean, in the game. In the game, it was the ale was poison, and I kept hinting either the ale or the coffee is poison, and everybody's just like smacking things away from people. It's like, don't drink that coffee, like or like don't drink the like. It just turned into like such a like. I've never had like the outside like I never had them like meta games so hard in my life. That it's like I was like, your character doesn't know anything about this. Like, why is he so not trusting of the? And they would come up with like BS like reasonings of why it's like, oh, my character doesn't trust anybody right now. Like he's on edge. He doesn't like. It was so funny. I had so much fun playing this campaign. It was I felt like a player, like actually playing in it. I didn't feel like a DM, which was really cool.
It's good when you get that kind of feeling because you can really enjoy it a lot more that way, rather
No,
than just
yeah,
being
yeah,
the
yeah.
director and directing things. Just yep, bring it
Yeah,
on.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Dirty basement terrain. Violence may not always be the best solution, but it's always a solution. Yeah.
And it's funny. My girlfriend plays in my games, and she's known as, okay, if we don't solve this within the next 5 minutes, my girlfriend's name is Genesis. Genesis is just gonna start beating people up. So either we fix it in the next 5 minutes, or we get ready to fight. Like it always comes down to that. She's like their time clock, basically, on like, we're gonna find a peaceful solution, but if we don't, it's gonna go down right here.
Yeah, it's like when you say violence is not the answer. Violence is a question. The answer is yes.
Right.
Okay, campaign terrain, there is never a zero chance of violence, pretty much. And Dungeon Matron, Frankie, you are more than welcome to join us at one of my crafters meetups sometimes. Yes, Dungeon Matron runs crafter meetups on Discord every Wednesday and Saturday. I think I can just pop an invite to her channel in the chat. Hang
All
on there.
right.
So you did join us once for a hangout on my Discord, I believe, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. That was really fun. I like that. I feel like I need to do more stuff like that, because um I it's just me, I guess. I find it hard interacting with, I grew up in a farm town in Mexico, so I went from, knowing like 10 people, 20 people, like in a small town, and then coming over to America into a city, and then the internet, like, so, like, I feel like I experienced like this whole um like technological boom from like the very zero of like just like not even having like electricity, to now you have a computer and you have access to all of the information in the world. So I find
And
it
all of the
sometimes
people in
hard
the
to
world, yeah.
interact. Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I find it hard sometimes to just kind of but I had a lot of fun when I joined you for that. You have a lot of really cool people here, and it
Oh
was a
yeah,
lot of fun.
they're really
And
the best.
then it's funny because I wasn't expecting that like we joined in, and within like a minute or so we just started talking about animals, which I'm always down for. Like, if you want to ever break the ice or anything, and you just bring up like any fact about animals, and then you'll get me going. Like, I'm listening, and I'll join in the conversation. Like, I'll just keep going and going.
I forgot what animal we were talking about at the time. I know that
Oh
cats do
yeah,
come up often.
yeah. We talked about cats, dogs, but then we talked about hippos, water bears,
Yeah. Oh yeah,
um,
yeah, the water bears. Yeah.
hedgehogs. Yeah, because we were like talking about this guy,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then it just went off.
Evolution of Gaming says yes, we have some interesting characters. Yes, some people would even call us persons of interest.
Like characters.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of the wonderful people in Discord, what do you say if we look at the at what they threw into the community showcase? Are you ready for that?
We got to look at the what?
We're going to look at the stuff that these fine people threw into the community showcase on Discord.
Oh man, let me check it out.
Okay, it's alright. I can bring it on screen. Hang on. Boom. There
You
we go.
got it. All right, all right.
Okay, you should be able to see it on Zoom now.
Oh wow,
Okay, starting with
it
Lawrence.
always blows me away how good people are, man.
Oh yeah, and there are some really good people in here.
Right.
Lawrence Davies, definitely one of them.
Wow. That's what I need to do, man. I need to make more buildings.
I find buildings are one of the most interesting things to make because you can literally make as many of it as you like, and you'll never have two of them the same.
Right.
Especially the
And
ones
it,
in.
it's just such a good it's just such a good like background or setting, or just like, I don't like to use DM screens,
Mhm.
so I sometimes end up putting something in front of me that's part of like the terrain, to kind of separate me from the players, but not enough to block me off from them.
Yeah,
And
it makes sense.
I found like terrain like this is perfect for that.
Just enough. Some if you need to roll your dice without them being too obvious or stuff like that, without having an actual barrier.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Lawrence Dirty Basementarian does some magnificent buildings and he just recently started his channel, so he's still building it up, but he does good stuff.
The shapes are so cool though, like with at least like the building that he has right there, because it's not it's it's very unique. It's not just like a square, you know what I'm talking
Oh
about?
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Like,
I think he did this in his video using the dungeons by hand templates, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, he could do that using freehand or his own jigs, and knowing him, he would come up with something very original.
mm,
Okay, next one up is a Goblin War Wagon from the Dungeon Minister.
yeah, I saw that one the other day, man. I'm trying to do some cards, so when he posted that, I was like, this is what I was looking for.
Okay, again, the Dungeon Minister was on last week, and he's very new to crafting. But again, just this is for his games with his kids. So putting that on the table is like, oh no.
Man, I'd be blown away if I saw that in like real life, man. The whole front part is like the you seen the Da Vinci
Yes, yes,
sketches
yes,
that he
yes.
did. Yeah,
The
you
war
know that
wagons
thing
and the
can do a lot
tanks.
of
Yeah, yeah.
damage.
Okay, next, Steve's paintbrush. No man. Oh man.
All right.
Yeah, that's some next level painting as usual, Steve. That's man.
Wow.
Okay, so those eyes are stunning. They are stunning, but just the whole textures on the beak and the cloth and stuff are something else. Man. Oh, Five Header joined us. Hi, how are you doing? Yeah, Steve has a channel called Steve's Paintbrush, but most we call him Painting Envy. Right, and this is from our other Steve, Earthman Brick. I believe this is War Cradle Kit.
Man, this seeing things like this, man,
Yeah?
they really take you out. It's just so good.
Yeah, Steve does a lot of these MDF kits, and I think he does more, or at least he used to do more modern and sci-fi kits rather than fantasy
Hmm.
ones like this. But the way he okay,
The roof paint job, the way he did it is just it's look at that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, compare it to this one, which is the studio image. Where'd it go? Here.
Right,
This looks a bit cartoony and stuff, but yeah, that
right.
one looks
Look at
this is
that.
something else. Yeah.
That looks like it belongs in a video game, man.
Oh yeah. And with some of the other stuff he does, you can't when he goes the whole 9 yards with the grunging up and stuff. You can't really tell that they're MDF kits.
Hmm.
So yeah, what I'd like to know is what that white stuff is on the thing because that looks like sometimes you get salt on stuff on buildings and things that or the paint really gets burnt off. And
I
I
also
like that
wonder,
effect.
yeah, I also wonder if they added that grid underneath the roof. Because I didn't see that in the model.
No, I think it's there. Yeah, it's in
Oh, it is?
yeah, it's part of the original kit.
He was kind of able to emphasize it a lot better.
Yeah, because I think what they did here was you've got red and kind of reddish brown grid, but
I see. Yeah, 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 yeah.
here with the different colors, he did really made that pop. Yeah,
It popped. Yeah,
nice, really good work.
right.
Okay, next we've got some videos from Meredith. Beholder training dummy.
I still think she has some of the best shorts, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh my God. That's so good. Oh,
Let's roll it again.
this is just amazing. I don't I'm like I'm speechless because like I want to say something, but I'm still like kind of blown away. This is just so cool, man.
Yeah, I really like how the whole scene goes together.
This would be I think if at some point like there's convention or something, I would definitely love to play in one of her games for sure. Like that would be like a goal of mine.
Now again, this is something that's really original. It's something you don't really see anywhere else. And I mean, that thing is relatively tiny. It's really well put together. Ti- ti-
Wow.
Okay. Oh yeah. Scattertrain says the rest of the scene is coming soon, and yes, we'll have to make that happen. It would be hilarious if the dummy was a real beholder in disguise and started obliterating people. Ooh, okay, and Scatter Train is doing Dragon Training dummy next, so yeah, that's going to be something to watch out for. Okay, next up, Quest Board Train. Got a statue from a Star Wars toy.
Wow.
It looks like a scary looking statue. Ooh, okay, got some terrain with LEDs in it. Again, I think we saw some parts of this a couple of weeks ago, but not the whole thing. Wow, okay. That's definitely looking very dramatic.
Wow, man. How a paint job so good. I know it's like a lot of black, but
That's oh okay. Quest Bertrand is saying it's a cloud giant, not a statue. Makes sense. Sorry, that fits.
yeah.
And if I'm not the what we're seeing there isn't just paint. It's paint plus there's light inside it. So that's actually lit from the inside. That's what we're seeing here.
Oh,
But thinking about it, that's exactly the way that lava would work because you've got the glowing parts would be on the inside and then you've got the crust and the So yeah, I can say that was a really good way of doing it. Yeah, sure. Let me see if I can begin this without breaking the stream. Done in there. Oh, there we go. Ooh, oh. You can see where the light is coming out there. Here it's mostly paint, possibly because of the other light, but here it's definitely coming from the inside. Ah, exactly. Only the top is lit, the rest is paint. Nice. But definitely great job. And let's see. Earthworm brick, scratch building, some new industrial interior terrain tiles. Are you okay, Frankie? You seem to have frozen up or something. Okay, I think we might be having technical difficulties again. So in the meantime, Steve, uh, what's that thing up top over there? The gears and stuff. They're looking really good. Okay, just hold on a second while I try to figure out what's happened here. We'll be right back in a second. But we're back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we're looking at the last item in the showcase here today, and we've got some stuff that some gate thingy Earthman Brick is working on.
Look at all that rust, man.
Oh yeah.
Did they mention how they got or is it just like scratch built or just the center part of it?
I did ask. I'm not sure if he answered yet. Let's see.
That's a really cool piece.
Yeah, it looks like one of those iris. What do you call them? The iris doors or shutters or stuff like that. I don't. They
Yeah,
have a name, but I can't think of what it is. Knowing him, the tile is scratch built, not the door, which
the
means
door. Yeah,
which means that probably it's something he found on the street.
that's cool. That's cool. No, man.
And it does look like a mech.
I think I think part of the craft is also having a good eye for like things like that. Just
Oh yeah, totally.
figuring out like having like this one random piece that looks like nothing, and you're like, I'm gonna make something out of that.
I mean, it's just like you said earlier. It's like you find a toy that's already exactly the same shape as what you want, and so on.
Hmm.
Ah, okay. The door is from Necromunda, so it's actually from a gaming piece.
Oh man, that's cool.
All right,
It
but yeah, it's not so rusty when you get it out of the box for sure.
no, definitely no. He did an amazing job with the rust, man. I still like zooming in and out, like moving in and out into it.
Okay, so let me just check one last time. Nothing else in the showcase. I guess that's all for today. But great job, everyone. Those were some really good pieces.
The last one when I kind of went out with the magma, that was
Mhm.
sick. That was really cool, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's being built for two different challenges, so we'll be seeing more of it very soon.
Nice.
Okay, so the chevron is carved into the game piece. Yeah, just to remind everyone, we have the reactive terrain challenge, which will be, I believe it's on the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's 2 weeks from now. So we're still going to be working on that, and that's going to be over on Net One Videos channel. But that's a challenge that we threw down. It's like everyone will be building a piece of terrain that can change or be modified during the game. So it's going to be interesting to see what everyone comes up with. So Frankie, we're coming up to no, we're just over 2 hours, in fact, actually.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Time flies. I knew it had been a long time when my headphones ran out of battery.
But how do you feel it? Because I know you told me earlier that you were a bit nervous about coming on a stream.
I always get nervous. Yeah, yeah.
But all
Anytime,
better now?
anytime it's live or anything with groups. Now I'm probably gonna be like, if you said, yeah, we'll have this talk, like, let's talk tomorrow again. I'll get nervous again tomorrow.
No, no, we will give you a break. We're not going to stream again tomorrow. Maybe oops, sorry, maybe Tuesday.
Right, right, yeah. I do have to join more of the when you guys have like meetups, you start crafting things. I definitely need to do more of that because I think sometimes what happens is I just get caught up like with working on things so much that I kind of isolate myself. And it's good to have something that's like actually interacting with you versus just putting a video in the background or music or something like that. Because like I feel like you lose track of time that way, at least when like you're hanging out with a group here and there. Some people start dropping off because they have to do things, so you start to kind of like keep track of time that way. It's like, oh, like three people just left, how long has it been, you
Oh
know?
yeah, for sure. It does get kind of weird sometimes because we're all on different time zones. So
Yeah,
it'll be
yeah,
like, I need to go to sleep now, and someone will be, "Good morning, everybody."
right.
But it,
And when you
uh,
lose track of time and you hear that, it scares you because you feel like you walked
yes,
into the studio and it's nighttime now.
yeah, it does happen. But again, apart from that, these people are really fun to hang around with. So
Yeah, definitely.
on my Discord, we do hangouts pretty randomly. So it's literally a case of someone says, "Hey, let's do a hangout," and suddenly there's 10 weird people hanging around in a voice channel. But like I said, Dungeon Matron does them fairly regularly on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So you're always welcome.
And you put up a link for that too, right?
Ah, yeah, yeah. I can send you an
All right.
invite later on directly, so we don't have to hunt for it in the chat.
Nice. I like that.
But again, thank you so much for joining us today, and I'm really looking
That was a
forward
lot
to
of fun, man.
I'm really looking forward to see you start doing your videos again, and hope you'll join us again for another stream sometime in the future.
Just let me know when.
Will do. So thank you again, and thanks everyone for joining us, and hope you have a great week. Bye.